Good evening. This is Dr. Cecily, and this is my leadership series. Please welcome. Please like if you like the video. Also share and subscribe. And I just want to thank my YouTube community. I'm new to this, but I just want to take you on my journey as a former sheriff and also a sergeant. I wasn't with Detroit, but I was with the sheriff's department, and I do understand the organizational culture of officers. Now, I do believe in my first series, like I said, I'm from Detroit, make it real quick. Mayor Keisha Lance-Bottoms here in Atlanta is reopening the 1979-1981 cases. Now, you remember Wayne Williams went to jail, but prison for 2 life sentences, but it was not for the children. They, some kind of way, with some kind of law, they connected the circumstantial evidence of the fibers to Wayne Williams. But remember, there were 6 or 7 counties involved, including Fulton, DeKalb. I believe Cobb County was in it, because remember, this was all over Atlanta. And when we call Atlanta, they also include their county. So this wasn't DeKalb and Fulton. There were other counties involved. So it would be interesting to see where the fiber and evidence lead to. Now, we do know that Wayne Williams went to prison, 2 life sentences, not connected to the children. So what it is that these children, their parents and their mothers, Black lives do matter. And then after being an officer and understanding organization culture, see, it's more than just the white officer, a Klan officer taking off the robe or taking off the chief, the white hood and putting on the chief police hat, taking off the white robe and putting on the shirt, putting on the DA, putting on the justice robe. You get my points. That's why it's called institutional racism. But as an officer and a sergeant in the Black community, I did see racism on the level where the Blacks inmates, oftentimes their constitutional rights were disignored. As we see, here it is, 40 years later. So I just want to shout out to our Atlanta Mayor, Keisha Lance-Bottoms. She was notified by 11 Live. They took a nice coverage of what happened in 1979. And also they bring out a lot of theories. Like you said, like I said, I'm just following this. I never knew that Wayne Williams was not charged. I figured he was, but he was never charged at all. So this is 40 years later. Naima, she's the newscaster at 11 Alive. She brought it to our Atlanta Mayor, Keisha Lance-Bottoms. She brought it to her attention about these mothers who got basically no justice. And so here we are. You can look at that. I talked about leadership, the failure of leadership in the first one. And what my suspicion was, this is my first time following this case. In this video, I'm going to talk about, I'm going to share with you, because I want to give the voices, the mothers, some voices, because of all the videos I looked, they were using the detective, the GBI, the Atlanta Homicide, just people up front, the DEA office, people up front that were bringing information. I really want to hear from these mothers. And then I'm going to give you some more information on how a lot of the evidence was destroyed and also suppressed. So here we go. I'm going to start off with our Mayor Keisha Lance-Bottoms.
Who are continuing to keep this top of mind for us. That's Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance-Bottoms holding back tears and thanking 11 Alive for our continuous coverage of one of the city's darkest times, the brutal deaths of 29 African-American children and young adults 40 years ago.
So with that being said, she is taking the case of Will Packard. There was a documentary about, I looked at it for the first time, and it was very clean, and it was really non-biased. But like I said, my take was that it was a Ku Klux Klan, first of all, and that Wayne Williams wasn't the only one, because he did have a guy, his name is Louis Rogers. When Wayne Williams came up for his appeal in 2019, some people came out, including Louis Rogers, who was 7 years old, and he remembers his face and also described him. But let's go on with the other theories, and I want to give voice to these 3 mothers here. One is Catherine Leech. Her son was Curtis Walker. Lois Evans. Her son was Alfred Evans. And then Venus Taylor. She was the mother that was her child was named Angel. And when she found her daughter, they said her daughter was tied to a tree. And I do want to point out too, none of the victims, 28 children, were ever sexually assaulted. But they do remember, they do think that, like I said, it was the Ku Klux Klan. Maybe it was an officer. They tried to charge an officer named Wayne Edwards. What was his name? Wayne Edwards, somebody. He was an officer, but I think he was a Zodiac killer, but they ruled that out. But it could have been another officer. But let me let you listen to the first mother.
The story of Miss Catherine Leech, a grieving mother who had one wish, who just wanted one thing, and that was a memorial for her son and all of the other victims. And that helped spark all the latest developments. Now, during my first interview with Miss Leech, she asked the city to build a memorial for the children. She didn't know what kind of response she was going to get. She wanted it for her son, 13-year-old Curtis Walker. Then I reached out to the mayor's office on her behalf so she could be heard by her elected officials, which led to Mayor Bottoms promising that memorial and eventually meeting the grieving mother. We found out during our exclusive interview the murders deeply impacted the mayor while she was growing up. As mentioned, I brought to the mayor's attention.
Now I'm going to, she didn't speak a lot in there, but she did request to have a memorial of all the Atlanta children that were missing and murdered. I think they said they didn't find one body. I'm not for sure. But so let's go to this next mother. Excuse me. Her name was Lois Evans, I think.
The start of the city's nightmare.
But he left to go and he never did come back. So I gets on the phone calling around trying to find him, but I never did.
Alfred Evans disappeared and was found dead at Niskey Lake Road in Southwest
This is Lois
Atlanta,
Evans. She's
along with
81
another
years old.
victim, Edward Hope Smith. Fast forward decades later, and this is 81-year-old Lois Evans' first interview in more than 20 years.
I didn't want to believe it. I graduated from the 7th grade.
So now that's him. Now let's talk too about, now we also know that this society is a pay to play. The reason why I believe it was an officer that's probably was in the Ku Klux Klan is because of the cover up by leadership, and you will see who was the cover up. But also we know this is a pay to play system, and eventually I'm going to start talking about debtors prisons, because you know if you can pay, you can avoid going to prison. And we also have debtor prisons, what I'm going to talk about later on. But here's another video where it shows, like, even with the white women who are getting charged now for paying for their children's graduation, and these prestigious colleges like Yale and Stanford, when all along that is just criminal nature. And because they have money, they can get away. So let me go to this video. I want to get the right video because she talks about, oh, here it is right here. This is one of the theories.
Kept safe by his family's money. Venus Taylor claims that a member of law enforcement confided in her about the real killer of her daughter, Angel Lanier.
The person that killed your daughter told me that he killed her. I say, and you're not.
Sorry. Let's see if I get this back.
Finally, there is a theory that a killer is being kept safe by his family's money. Venus Taylor claims that a member of law enforcement confided in her about the real killer of her daughter, Angel Lanier.
The person that killed your daughter told me that he killed her. I say, and you're not going to arrest him? He said, we really can't. I said, why you can't? Because he's mentally ill. I said, just because he's mentally ill, you're not going to arrest him? He said, well, he said, it's a little more political than that. I say, what you mean? He's from one of the richest families in this city. Money talks. He said, it'll never go to court. It is 30-some years later, and that hurts. That hurts real bad.
So the theory was an officer came to her and told her that they would never go to court. So there were other suspects other than the Klan. And it shows that there was no due diligence, and they just did not care about these black children. As we see today, Black lives still matter. We see with Rayshard Brooks, Breonna Case, Breonna Taylor. She was shot 5 times, and a no-knock warrant raid. So we need to go beyond just being silent and just discussing. We got to go to policy, change policy. The officers are covered under a law called immunity. We got to get rid of those laws. If it's broad daylight, absolutely unarmed person like George Floyd, where the whole world seen this man die in 9 minutes, we know no officer, nobody should be above the law. So with that policy needs to be changed, and also how the just because you can pay, you shouldn't be able to play. There should be some kind of equity in all levels. So it's just not defunding the police, it's every area in our detention, probation, and criminal justice system. So let me go with this. I want to go to the other theory right quick. And it talked about, they thought the CDC was involved. So we talked about the money talks, we talked about Ku Klux Klan, we talked about, so let me get to this right here. Here we go.
Sexual assault. Some of the bodies found were missing organs. This has led some of the victims' families to allege that someone was killing the children to harvest their organs.
Different parts of their children.
Let me go back to her. Just really interesting. Here it is.
While the children bore no signs of sexual assault, some of the bodies found were missing organs. This has led some of the victims' families to allege that someone was killing the children to harvest their organs.
Different parts of their children's organs was removed. You're talking about the kidneys, the liver, the peanuts. Why take my children's organs? It's very important that the world know that it was like robbing organs here in Atlanta.
This theory was popularized.
And we know that theory was popularized by Dick Gregory was involved, and his Venus Taylor.
On both sides of the boy's penises. Dick Gregory and I met with a scientist. A lot of things was explained to us. Showed me how one thing taken from a child at a certain age before puberty could wipe out cancer.
This thing is a protein called interferon. Interferon is now used to fight cancer.
You tell me.
So
Why?
interferon is also known to maybe be possible for a cure for COVID-19. Now I got one more thing, because of course, like I said, this case is new to me. I want to bring up the thing about the Klan. You have to understand that, and I'm going to bring up Sheila Baltazar. It was her son who, her nephew, she was stepmother of Patrick Baltazar, who went somewhere, never came back, and was found dead. But they thought it was let me play this about the Ku Klux Klan, what she says about this.
We're thinking that the Klansmen had a lot to do with it. We couldn't think of anything but the Klansmen.
In particular, a man named Charles Sanders is thought to have been responsible for the death of Luby Jeter.
The name that people know is Charles Sanders.
Charles Sanders, who was associated with the white hate group, maybe even the Klan.
Allegedly, Sanders was angry because Jeter had scratched Sanders' truck. A 1986 Spin magazine article quoted a police informant who said he would.
So, police informant came forward and also testified in court that Charles Sanders was part of the Ku Klux Klan. That was interesting that it was the DBI and the Atlanta Homicide that investigated this Klan investigation, and they closed it supposedly had closed it because they found they did videotapes and stuff, and they found no association with the Klan. But like I said, it probably could have been an officer, and he was a Klan member also. So let me get to that's her take on it, and this is what Atlanta's saying.
KKK investigation, which was referred to as the 8100 file,
This is not
investigated claims suggesting the Ku
Atlanta
Klux Klan
lied.
could be responsible for the Atlanta child murders. According to the documents, the investigation lasted for 2 months and ended a month before Wayne Williams was considered a suspect. The 8100 file was not presented during the Wayne Williams trial. Former juror Clarice Flournoy Green helped convict Williams, who's serving a life sentence for the murder.
So when she asked the juror what did she thought, she said, well, I don't know, because that information was never, remember, that information was never given to, it was never presented in the trial, and some people were not aware of the KKK investigation or the files or the videotaping. So I got 2 more I'm gonna show you, because like I said, I always start with 3 more. But let's go on with the KKK investigation, and then you will see this failed leadership we see over and over again, even with the justice system, even with the killing of Breonna Taylor, and the continuing 40 years later, we see a pattern. And I like what Will Smith said. He said, this has been going all along. It's just that it's the technology that's bringing it forward.
Involvement in the murders. But 9 months before, a handful of Atlanta police officers and GBI agents had begun a top-secret Klan probe known as the 8100 file. According to the file, then GBI Director Phil Peters ordered it kept secret, even from the task force, for fear that, quote, if the intelligence leaked out, it would possibly cause a race riot, end quote. But even if the task force didn't know about the Klan probe, its leadership did. According to the file, then Assistant Atlanta Police Chief Morris Redding, who headed the task force, was briefed on at least 2 occasions. He gave his approval of the operation, but later expressed doubt about Klan involvement in the murders. GBI agent Robbie Hamrick, head of the task force detectives, is quoted as saying that only he and Redding were to know of the secret Klan probe, and he would act as liaison with the task force. Then Atlanta Police Chief.
So it was the Atlanta Chief Police. All of them did not want it to go forward because they wanted to keep it quiet because they didn't want a race riot. So understand that this was the culture of Atlanta. It was the state while everybody else was going through race riots. Atlanta was called the state that was too busy to hate. But they try to take this and wash it under the rug. Now I'm gonna bring to you what Wayne Williams' lawyer said.
And alarming to my sense of judgment, and hopefully to some degree of common sense, that these type tape recordings could have been destroyed approximately 2 weeks after Wayne Williams was indicted in this case, and without giving the court or the district attorney any effort to analyze or to evaluate this evidence. I find it shocking.
So they say that this was information that was the videotapes were destroyed, the wiretappings were destroyed, and remember the informant had said that Charles Sanders was going to get him another another black child, and that they were looking basically for male children, and that they will get girls too to start a race riot. So this is I just want to end with this because this is Venus Taylor's mother today. Angel's mother. She was the first girl that was missed.
Someone had snatched her. She would never go to anybody. She would never go to anybody. She was gifted. Not run away. None of that. You just moved here, and
You knew your child.
I knew her very well.
And you never saw her again.
I saw her a week later, tied to a tree. I didn't see her. They told me she was tied to a tree. I seen her at the morgue. I got down there to the morgue, and a lip was cut off and an ear was cut off.
Well, I'm sorry.
It's Venus Taylor.
Just the,
And so you see what the mothers are saying. The mothers are saying, some of the black detectives were saying that that Wayne Williams didn't do this, even though there was a couple of witnesses that did see Wayne Williams with a couple of the boys before they were found dead. But the issue is this: there were never any. All this is just circumstantial evidence. The fiber, I think it was maybe what was 3% in 1,000 or million that he could have been him. But remember, he was never charged with these boys' murders. So there are murderers, maybe. We don't know. They could have justice robes on for all we know. All we know is that there's somebody that knows who killed these children. And then in my next video, I'll talk about the suspects. So please like my channel, subscribe, and just God bless you. Stay safe, keep your faith, and keep your eyes on God. Change is here. You either accept it or you're going to get left. Be safe. God bless.